So let's move on to the PSG Arsenal game. Wow, I gotta be honest, I didn't see this coming. PSG, I remember they played Manchester City, and I think the loser of that game, because I think it was not the last game, but the one before last, and the loser of that game was going to be in rough shape to making it to the
To
playoffs, right?
qualify
For
at
the
all, yeah.
yeah, and PSG actually ends up winning that game, which puts him in better position to advance to advance in the Champions League, and then Manchester City also ended up. I think they beat Red Star and they ended up making it, and they had to play Real
Yep.
Madrid, right?
Yep.
And ever since that game they played against Manchester City, I mean, they are hitting in all cylinders. They got a player who they really didn't even need, which is Kvaratskhelia. And watching that game, it really made me think of Arsenal and how Arsenal just became one dimensional. They just didn't have anybody to throw at PSG. They only had Saka, but I thought PSG was not only better, they were smarter. They had a better game plan. I think Luis Enrique out coach Arteta. And now, not to say that Arteta should be gone, should be sacked. I think he should stay, should get another year, definitely. Let's if Arsenal fans are panicking, I mean, let's remember where Arsenal was even last year, a couple of years ago, where they haven't played a semifinals in the UEFA Champions League for a long time, and here they are. People may say they didn't win anything, but this is why winning championships and Barca can see this also as a silver lining, because you can play have a good season and still not win anything. And I think that was Arsenal's case. And in this case, I mean, just PSG is just so many different things they can throw at Arsenal, and they had they it seems like they gave it all they could as far as Arsenal's, but PSG was just a better team.
Yeah. I think I'll start with the PSG side of things.
Yeah.
With PSG, I mean, that's just a very solid team with a great coach. I think they moved very intelligently in the transfer market. They knew they had something good with Nuno Mendes. They had something good with Hakimi, right? Marquinhos is getting up there. I think Marquinhos is definitely the weak point, but they went and they got William Pacho, who has been really, really good, right? I think their
Yeah.
midfield is very techy. It's very strong. It's deceptive in that I think a lot of the people in the Prem are like, oh, are they strong enough? Are they tall enough to be in the Prem? This game showed you it does not matter, bro. Sometimes it doesn't matter that the person doesn't have a ton of pace and power. It's about how they use what they do have, the qualities that they do have. I mean, you look at like Vitinha or John Neves, these guys aren't giants, but you see them winning headers. You see them winning the duels in the midfield.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I think PSG, they moved intelligently in the transfer market. I think Luis Enrique, from the beginning of the season, he had his betting in period with the team, right? And you can
Yeah.
see that they kind of gave up on people like Gonzalo Ramos. They said, all right, he's not good enough. So we're gonna stop playing it. We're gonna stop trying to see what we can do with the striker, because the striker, we don't have a good enough striker. I'm gonna try to find the solution here.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been completely working. He's given a lot more time to Dwayne Barcola. He's playing Dembélé in kind of that false nine role. And then they got Kvaratskhelia, who's an absolute baller. I
You
mean,
see
the
how
fact
it
that
hits.
no other team went for him is
You see
insane to
how it
me.
hits the post, and it reminded me, like, in the first half, the way he was playing is like comparing him to Rafinha down the left, and how Rafinha was just literally not doing anything, man. They had nothing, dude, and he covers Scalia in just a few plays. He hits the post, almost scores an amazing goal, and you can just tell when a player like Kvaratskhelia, you can see those abilities, right? They can make something happen. I think that's some of the things that Rafinha really lacks. I don't know if Rafinha can be moved into the number 9 role and we can plug somebody else there, but we just need. I just feel like as Barca, right? We need something different, and in this game and specifically, I thought that Arsenal just was one dimensional, and Luis Enrique like made a point of emphasis because Nuno Mendes, he's an attacker, so he attacks. He's very offensive, and I didn't see him playing any offensive, if anything, in this game, and it
Yeah.
was in part because he was staying back, waiting for Saka, playing one on one. He was always staying with him, and the only few times he almost Saka almost scored that banger, right? But the Donnarumma, again, we're going back. The goalkeepers are a big deal in this type of games. He
Yep.
makes the save, and then when he finally had an open net, he misses it, and that's the most Arsenal thing that you'll ever see, right? Like when the rubber needs to meet the road, they always seem to just can't get
Yeah.
over the hump. and just can't really do anything. And I just thought they were just one dimensional. And when I looked at PSG and I looked at Arsenal, it's like a tale of two different opposites. Where Arsenal, it's really obvious what they wanted to do, but they couldn't do it because their best players, Partey and Declan Rice, outplayed by basically Joao Neves and Vitinha,
Yeah.
and they have also other players that can throw at you. Like Due didn't have a good game as a number 10. He played the false nine. I didn't think he had a good game. Dembélé was injured. He wasn't on the field. So I thought that even Arsenal getting a break and with the kind of performance, it wasn't really the best game for PSG, and still beat you. It kind of felt like the difference between one team and the other were just too big.
Yeah. And this is where like I'll talk about the Arsenal side of things. Like again, I spoke on all the positives about PSG. Again, firing on cylinders, moved intelligently in the transfer market, right? Figured out solutions for not having a striker. And I think it's the complete opposite side of what you see with Arteta. I think Arteta is a manager that was scarred by the fact that he lost the league when they were so far ahead and they bottled it, right? I think it was like ahead for like 95% of the season, didn't win, like set a record. Um, and ever since then, you've seen him get more and more defensive. You look at the transfer market, they're getting in defenders, right? They're
Hmm.
getting in Calafiori, they're getting in Marino. You know, they're not looking at their offense. They're running Saka into the ground.
Yeah.
Martinelli is little to nothing.
Dude, he looked like
And
a FIFA player trying to go down the sideline, trying to make something happen. It was like, okay, I can't go here, then I'll go there, and it's just like nothing really of note, nothing really like vertical. So it's just like you feel like you were playing FIFA or something. Like that's just how Martinelli plays. It's just incredible, just so bad, so bad. I mean, I thought he
and
was awful.
yeah, and he's been that since forever. But again, this is where I'm saying I look at Arteta and I'm like, listen, you've had a ton of transfer markets. Clearly, you get to decide. He was part of the decision of who the next sporting director is going to be. Like they're giving him immense power in terms of who comes into the club, player side, and he's kept getting more defensive players. He's not gotten the offensive players that they need. Everybody's been saying for 2 seasons now, Arsenal need a striker. They haven't even looked near getting a striker.
Dude,
They've
I thought
always
I thought even if they had a striker, like if they had like a number nine, let's say like somebody even like Lautaro Martinez, somebody like Harry Kane that was on the market a couple of years ago, and somebody even like yeah, even Harry Kane, they should have gone after Harry Kane when it was available when he was leaving Tottenham, and I think somebody like Harry Kane would have had at least 2 to 3 goals in this tie, because they did have the chances. Some of the chances were there, but just didn't have a number nine to close it out. And I think that's the big difference in this game. And really, PSG feels like they went through not even playing their best, maybe like
no,
50%, 70%. I
yeah,
think this team was flying on the first leg, and
yep,
Arsenal was just lucky
agreed,
not to get ran. So
agreed.
yeah. So,
Oh,
so like I wanted to ask you, like, I think Arsenal, in my opinion, I think they really need to rebuild. I don't. I think Partey. I mean, I do like him. I think he had a great series against Real Madrid. He had a great tie against Real
mhm,
Madrid. But at the end of the day, he got the yellow card, and couldn't play the first leg for the second. Again, the first leg against PSG, and it's a frustrating thing with him. Like he's a little inconsistent. I thought he made a mistake on the first goal. I can't remember if it was the first goal or the second goal by PSG, but he does make a mistake. It was too soft. A lot of the same qualities as I see from Araujo at some points, and I think Partey was a big deal in one of those goals. Declan Rice really wasn't playing much, doing much in this game either. I think Declan Rice is definitely a keeper, but I'm just not sure about Partey. But I don't know what your opinion is. I do think having Mikel Merino for a game like this is just not good enough.
yeah, and again, like I said, with the way I began, speaking about Barca's again, the two positions you can't compromise. What is similar between the teams that are going to semifinals, right? A great keeper and Arsenal didn't go through because they didn't have that striker. If Arsenal had that striker, like you said, it's a completely different tie. Because
Yeah,
I think even a mid-table striker, bro, like even if they got Ivan Tony, for example, when
yeah,
Ivan before Ivan Tony went to Saudi, like that was easily achievable, bro. You can't tell me that you Arsenal could never convince Ivan Tony to go to to them instead of going to Saudi,
yeah,
but they didn't because again, this is what Arteta and this is why I think past the rebuild, I think that the team at its core has 1 to 2 more years in it before people start leaving and before it starts falling apart. And their window is closing very rapidly in terms of what
yeah.
they can do with this team. and Arteta is not going to be the guy to get them to the promised land. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
going to happen. He built
I'm
the team
hate.
up to where it is now, but he's not.
Yeah,
He just can't. He clearly showed himself again and again. He cannot get it over the line. It's one of the biggest criticisms that I had of this Arsenal team, and you can speak to it as well. One of the most important things to do is, even if you haven't won the major trophies yet, win the literal things along the way, right? Win the cups that you can do in the league, right? And then maybe win the league the next year and then build from that. But Arsenal have won nothing. It's been years of this rebuild. It's 800 million spent, and they have nothing.
just win the damn FA Cup or something.
Something,
Yeah,
but he keeps throwing it. And again, and this is my worry, right? I noticed it for the first time today. Again, Saka got injured, right? People have been
yeah,
saying that for the year 3, 4 years now. Why are you playing Saka 90 minutes in the cup against teams like in League Two? Why is he
yeah,
doing all these? He finally has a hamstring injury. He comes back. He seems like he's lost a bit of pace. I
yeah,
don't know if you saw that,
yeah,
but there
yeah.
was times when I feel like he could have, like when he was at his full fitness, like one more touch, boom, he would have ran by him, taking that
Even
and
against
put it up
Real
on his back.
Madrid, he just lost a step. That's
He
not the
lost a step,
usual
man.
Saka that I've seen,
Exactly.
and that Real Madrid defense is not great.
Mhm.
That's the thing.
And this is where I'm looking, and this is where I'm looking again at Arteta, because you did not manage Saka well at all. You didn't get any backup to Saka in the transfer market. You didn't. You
Hmm.
played him minutes in the Cups. That's what I'm saying. I think Arteta at this point in time, he's built the team up as much as he can, but it is now toxic. It is now a toxic relationship between with what Arteta is doing to this Arsenal team. And again, I don't know if you've seen the news as well. Like it looks like Madrid might be in for Saliba, right? It looks like,
Yeah,
and again, I
that's
think
not
this
gonna
team is.
happen, dude. They're
I
they're
think
they're a free transfer FC now,
mm,
and they're gonna
no,
wait.
no. But this is my point, right? Remember what I told you? 1 to 2 years is when this team is gonna start falling apart. Madrid is putting in the word now, just like they did for Trent, right?
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
want to
yeah,
play for
yeah,
us, wait one
yeah,
to 2 years and we'll pick you up on the free.
yeah.
But this is my
That's what
point.
they
If
want.
if Arsenal don't win anything next season,
I see that.
people, I'm so sorry. Players' heads are going to be turned. And look at Arteta, for example. I don't know if you've been following the Premier League, but Ethan Rary, that kid
Hmm.
has been special for them. He has been the solution for when Saka was out, creating, goal
Yeah,
scoring.
yeah,
Why is he on the bench? And this is a young kid. He could decide to leave
yeah.
if you don't play him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so that puts Inter Milan against PSG as final thoughts on that, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah,
So for me, I want Inter. Like I said, my heart is with Inter, but my head
yeah,
is telling me that PSG can do exactly what Barca can do to Inter,
yeah,
except for PSG can play defense.
yep.
So you think that the same? You think that the tie will be basically boils down to that, or do you think how you think it's going to go down?
I think it's a bit difficult because Inter are a very defensively solid team, and I think that PSG are going to struggle in the way that they have this entire Champions League run. Because if you look at what happened with Liverpool, they lost the game to Liverpool. They lost 1-0 because the Liverpool's defense was so good. Liverpool needed that one Harvey Elliott chance. Remember, it was 1-0. It was
Hmm.
1-0 going back to Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool fumbled it at home. And then you look at even here against Arsenal, it was 1-0 away, but we saw how many chances that they had that they couldn't finish. And
Hmm.
then again, this game, how many chances did they not finish?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm telling you,
They do miss a
against this
lot of
Inter team,
chances.
Inter showed y'all. Inter is clinical. They do not need the million chances that PSG needs. And that's why I
Yeah.
think that the game can get interesting because I agree that Barca, that PSG can clearly have shown a lot of the attacking prowess. But one of the big things is that PSG just don't have the striker. They don't have a Lewandowski. They don't have
No.
that. And I think that they're going to run into the brick wall that is Inter. And I think that's where the game is going to be figured out and by both managers. One of
Hmm.
them has to figure out a solution. Either, Enrique figures out a way to get a volume of chances for his team. Because I don't think Inter
Hmm.
are going to cough up that many chances against PSG. Because PSG, as good as their players are, Kvaratskhelia is not Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal,
Yeah.
in my opinion, from my estimation, is the best player in the world.
Yeah.
Nobody on that PSG team is dribbling like Lamine Yamal.
No.
So DeMarco is actually going to look like a competent defender, not a child. So,
Yeah.
so that being the case, it is going to be. I think that's where the game is going to be solved or lost for
Yeah.
either team.
Yeah. You make a great point. Can Inter do what Liverpool did on that first leg? And I think
Exactly.
the answer is yes. So you kind of making changing my mind there a little bit because that's a great point. I think if Inter kind of muddy this game up and play a lot of defense, and PSG will miss a lot of chances. That's the one thing I know for sure.
Exactly.
They
Yep.
will miss a lot of chances, and at the end of the day, if they can be do the same thing they have been doing against Barca, which is basically just picking their spots and being really efficient, they can really take this. But I do see PSG winning this thing because their offense is just off the charts. Their midfield is insane. Their defense is amazing. Like it really, I'm really hating on this PSG team because when Messi was there, Vitinha was there, the kid Hakimi was there, João Neves was there, Donnarumma was there, and they're all making a bunch of mistakes. But when Messi's not there, they look like they all want to win the Ballon d'Or.